Hi guys, before we start, just a quick note that this is the first ever episode of the podcast. I would call it an episode 0 or a pilot episode, and I want to show it to the future guests as an example to see the format and get an overall feeling about it. However, the topic may be interesting for you as well, as I speak with Łukasz Gawior, with whom I'm creating this podcast as a matter of fact, and we work together on the webhosting.today portal. The actual podcast starts now.
We want to create a place for the people in the web hosting and the domain hosting market, and not the cloud computing, because in this case have good coverage already. We would like to inform people and share our insights.
I think that the market is in a very interesting moment and there's still room for something interesting, and that's what we hope to share on the web hosting today and hopefully on the podcast with our guests.
We think that the innovation and the real application of the product is the main thing in the next years, because we see that the market is changing, that the software as a service solutions are gaining the market, like Wix, Squarespace, Shopify and others.
Welcome to Konrad's Corner. My guest is Łukasz Gawior, an independent consultant for web hosting companies. Previously COO, CMO at major hosting providers in Eastern Europe. Currently also developing 2 products related to the web hosting, which are website market analytics and AI-based anti-spam solution. We are talking about web hosting today, the podcast, and overall about the future of the market. Okay, Łukasz. First ever episode of the podcast. I'm not sure about you. I'm super excited. Okay, so let's start with the question that I think I'll be asking to every guest in the podcast. How did you get into the web hosting industry and what's your story?
I have been fascinated by web hosting industry and market for about 15 years already. I started my career like a simple support consultant, but over the years I became a product manager and manager in general. So I manage product, marketing, sales, and support departments. Through my years in the market, I have always been focused on the customer needs and the real application of the product. So I think that during the years, it worked out well in the long term for companies for which I worked. I have experience mostly in Poland, but I also been involved in many other projects in various countries.
So besides working for the web hosting companies, mostly in Poland, I know that you're working on 2 side projects. One is gathering statistics from websites, and I guess there were some plans to incorporate that into the web hosting today, but what is it about?
Basically, what I and my friends are building is a web crawler. So we analyze the websites and basically everything related to the websites. So we analyze, for example, hosting providers, domain registrars, SSL providers, CMS, and many other values of the website. We aggregate about 120 informations about single website, and personally I really needed such project and the product itself, but the available tools on the market, they do not have enough coverage of the domains, for example, so especially in the case of the CCTLDs, and don't provide enough data about changes on the market. So for example, you can't see what was the market share of the GoDaddy in the US 2 years ago and what are the current data about that. So we would like to provide many more insights about the market and in the various types of the data, like market share of the WordPress in the US or the plugins for the WordPress in the US. And we would like to cover about more than 500 million domains. So we'll be top 1 on the market in this case.
Okay, so it's like a competition to data provider?
Yeah, for example, for them, right?
Okay.
And few others, of course, but I think that they are the biggest player in this case, and they have really good product. I was the customer for many years, and I use their data for various companies also because it was pretty complicated to get information about, for example, market share of the some hosting provider in Poland. That was the case, for example. So we couldn't buy really relevant data because we knew, for example, that some company for sure had about 15,000 hosting accounts. So it should be around 60,000 domains, and data provider provide some informations like 20,000 domains. So we knew that the data are not correct, and I just decided to build something better. To be honest, the most important thing is to cover more domains, simply as that. So data provider, of course, is good in the case of the GTLDs because the data from the ICANN directly are they cover the market, but in the case of the CCTLDs, it's much more complicated, and you need to get some engine for getting more domains and cover more of the market.
Right, yeah. So enough beefing data provider. Another project that you're involved in, also related to the web hosting, is AI-powered antispam solution. What can you support about it?
We see the opportunity strongly in the good filtering of the local languages like German, French, Polish. I noticed that existing solutions on the market work really, really well, but only when the content is in English. And if you are the hosting provider or any provider in the country which the English is not main language, not primary language, it was much more complicated to implement solutions like spam experts or mail channels. Because they were good in the global market because of course the US is the biggest market, and they were probably focused on the coverage of the English content because of that. And I see the opportunity to build better solutions for companies like in Poland, for example. But of course, it's not all about this. We think that the solutions based on the AI are the future, and it's much more easy, to be honest, to build good filter, good anti-spam based on the AI than on the previous technologies. So, for example, we already gained a few clients, and they migrate to us from the Google Workspace was their previous provider. They of course still using this for the email accounts, but we take care about the spam filtering. And it was pretty, surprising for us that the clients from Google can use additional solution to cover the spam and the phishing activities. But in the case of our customers, their business was pretty close to the spam content, and it was complicated to find the difference between the real message and some phishing, for example. Okay. So we took care of it, and our customers are really happy with this solution. We of course would like to publish it on the global market in the future, but for now we are focused on the polishing the website, polishing the product, and then we will reach that. The most important part is already done because product is valid and customers already using it.
Okay, interesting. Really curious what will happen about it. Okay, so enough about you. Tell us more about web hosting today. Why are we creating it? How is it going to stand out? What's the plan?
Yeah, so we want to create a place for the people in the web hosting and the domain hosting market, and not the things like cloud computing, because in this case have good coverage on the market already. We would like to inform people and share our insights about the market. So, for example, stock reports like from the GoDaddy to Chaos, things about the market development, and many, many others. Also, the interviews with the owners or C-level people from the market leaders, basically. And well, you and I, we just wanted to create a place for ourselves that we would like to read and visit, which is sadly lacking on the market currently.
Yeah.
Basically, I think that this is the main idea behind this.
Yeah, and I also think, so the idea is to create a place for people related to the web hosting industry to gather, exchange information at some point maybe too. And we are starting with the news portal, but I think there are some opportunities in the future to extend it. We had some plans about marketplace. We had some plans, about the podcast. That's also another thing that we want to launch right away. But depending on the feedback from the people, we will definitely have some more to offer. And in result, we want to build some community around it. I also think that there are many business owners in the web hosting industry that are isolated. The whole industry is a niche itself, but people are spread around the world, and except an event like CloudFest, like people don't have too much opportunity to speak with each other and exchange information about what's going on. So making a platform that helps them not only to be up to date, but also can give them some unique insights, might be a wonderful medium, and I think that's the key idea what we want to offer.
Yeah, so I think that this is the interesting time and period in the case of this market, and we would like to provide, create a place to discuss about this topic, because in the recent years I think it's difficult to find some name, some brand which gained the market from the scratch, and it's based on the common tools like cPanel, for example. And we think that the innovation and the real application of the product, it's the main thing in the next years, because we see that the market is changing, that the software as a service solutions are gaining the market, like Wix, Squarespace, Shopify, and others. And the companies which are shining on the market currently are mostly based on the AI currently, and they trying to change things. They trying to get new approach to the customers, define the web hosting solution in the new ways. So I like a few startups on this market currently, like TenWeb, for example, and few others, of course. But I think that the future is interesting, because we also, what we can observe is a lot of the consolidations on the market, especially in the specific countries like in Poland, for example. But the consolidation is already made in the Germany, France, and many others. So it's less and less companies on this market.
That's right.
There is so many business owners like in the previous years. So the market is trying to define the future once again, I think, because a few years ago many threw that Facebook and Google will cut the standalone websites, that the companies and users will switch to the fan pages, for example. And right now we see that
didn't happen, right?
Yeah exactly.
Yeah, and I also think about the consolidation is that the whole point of consolidation, business-wise, is really to cut the costs and unify the environment so it's easier to manage larger amount of users. But this means that there is an opportunity for new players or some new initiatives that they can innovate. They can find a way, they can find a product, they can find an approach to the end customer, what they really need. And this is why companies like WP Engine popped up out of the blue and took a huge share of the market. And suddenly people realized that almost half of the sites are based on WordPress. Nobody noticed that before, and they provided a nice solution for the end customer. So I think the opportunities are there, and the consolidation makes it harder to make the traditional hosting business, but at the same time gives an option to provide something unique and capitalize on that?
Yeah, I think that the WordPress hosting solutions they already gained the market. They are not new in this field. They were developed a few years ago already.
Yeah, but a few
right
years ago
now,
it was something new. Suddenly,
yeah,
so that's what I mean, is that something may be new today as well. It's just
right.
about finding it, but that's the way to compete with these big players.
Of course, but on the other hand, I saw a lot of the new companies which try to get market fit, but they failed and they don't
Yeah.
exist anymore on this market. So I think that it's a combination of many things to get success. The product is the one thing, but also good marketing. And we can right now, for example, discuss a lot about the affiliation on this market because most of the reviews and the rankings about the hosting services are just focused on the gaining commission from
Yeah.
hosting providers. They don't provide really good insights about the solution. Yeah, and we can observe new startups which are created, for example, 1 year ago or 2 years ago. And I think that it's very important right now to discuss what those companies think about this market and what was the issue for them in the beginning, how they
Yeah.
gained the traction, and many others. So I think that such information will be very important for the people who, for example, trying to or they thinking about starting the web hosting business right now. And also, I think that what is important, and this is my insight from the market, which I gained only a few months ago when I tried to sell my shares in some hosting company, is that if you are not based on the CPAL, for example, it's pretty tough to find good buyer because, as you said, it's important to these big groups to unify everything and cut costs.
Yeah.
So one way it could be you can benefit from building something from the scratch and try to make some difference on the market. And on the other hand, it would be difficult to sell such business in the future, even if you gain some volume.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. And so at one point you want to innovate, but if you go too far, you don't have much option to get into the larger group and sell the business, right?
Probably you need to search other options or just grow big. If you are big, you will always find buyer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think that the market is in very interesting moment and there's still room for something interesting, and that's what we hope to share on the Web Hosting Today and hopefully on the podcast with our guests.
Yeah, so we would like to invite you all to our website, Web Hosting Today. Share your experiences with us. Share your ideas for the articles, for example. We'll have some fun together.
Okay, that was the first ever episode of my podcast. Really nice feeling, and let's hope there are so many other episodes in front of us, and let's hope that Web Hosting Today will become the industry hub as we expect. Thank you, Łukasz.
Thank you. Bye.